But we have Keith Lee versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT North American Championship. They've both been on the same brand now for about almost 2 years. I don't think they've ever gone one-on-one before, so I'm looking forward to this. Should be a great match. Lee has had multiple successful matches against Roderick Strong, Damian Priest, Dominic Dijakovic, Cameron Grimes. You name them, he's beaten them. He's beaten almost everyone in that division so far. Could this be it? Could this be the end of Keith Lee's reign as the NXT North American Champion?
I would say yes. I think the pastures are brighter for him. I think he's been a great champion, North American champion. I think, especially at a time when before this whole situation happened, he was really hot going in the Royal Rumble, stuff like that. I think he was kind of being looked at possibly title reign, but it just never happened. So I could see him losing the belt here to Gargano and then contending for the World Championship down the line.
World Championship as an NXT Championship or the main roster World Championship?
I think both are attainable for him. I think he's that good. I would say obviously NXT first. Once he wins out, runs the course, he could definitely call him up. But if they play the cards right, he could be a big deal for the company.
Well, you're probably in agreement that, if they call him, if he loses the championship here, which was my prediction too, they can't call him up right now, right? Because NXT, again, if they call up Undisputed Era and all these other people, it probably would not be the right time for Keith Lee, right?
Correct. I like I said, if he loses here, I would have him contend for the title next. I think Cole's going to retain, so I would have him face Cole next and have him be the one that beats Cole for the title, and then you can call Undisputed Era from there, and then he could be the face of NXT for a little bit. But that's what I would do. Like I said, I think he's a great talent, great in the ring, decent promo guy. I just think he has star written all over him, and like I said, if the company plays their cards right, he could be a real big deal for the company.
Yeah, bask in his glory. I'm looking forward to seeing how they progress with his push going forward. I know we kind of got your thoughts on it when it first started happening a few months ago, but what have been your thoughts on the progression of the heel act of Johnny wrestling, Johnny Gargano, and Candice LeRae in recent months?
It's pretty good. I mean, the issue with Gargano, he just, I think he'll win here, but just, I think it comes to a point that he needs to just move on. Mm-hmm. I get it. He's the fucking face of NXT, and he's the vet, and all this other crap. But just okay, you're the face of a developmental program. What's that really? I like Johnny Gargano. I think he's a great wrestler, but it comes to a point that, you just gotta move on. I mean, eventually, unless the new stuff is just him working with the new talent. I mean, he's done everything in NXT. He's won all the titles. He's beaten he's been on takeovers, had great matches with everyone. It's just don't you want to go to the main roster and see what you can do? I mean, obviously, depending on what happens, they might just book him to be a loser. But I just don't think staying in NXT is just ever gonna that can't just be his goal.
No, exactly. I'm really surprised just because I don't know. I mean, he's been here for literally 5 years. He was in the first Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, Ciampa too. But Ciampa's been injured a bunch of times, so it feels like he has more people to work with than Gargano does. And he hasn't won all the championships. Gargano's literally done everything on that show. Aside from winning the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which he's competed in multiple times already. He's a heel now, which he had a really short run at initially a couple of years ago, about a year ago. And this could be fun, and it has been good so far. But I just, I don't know. I mean, he's just done literally everything. So they got to move on at some point. I definitely agree. He's a great gatekeeper for that show in terms of all the new talent have to go through him. But he's a glorified version of Cassius Ohno at that point, which is a fine role to be in. But for a guy as good as him, I would like to see him on Raw and SmackDown mixing it up with AJ Styles, mixing it up with Daniel Bryan, mixing it up with Seth Rollins. Because if he never moves, we'll never get to see those matches, which he may not give a shit about. Ciampa may never give a shit about. But I don't know. I just feel like it's, he's great in NXT, but they need to move on because he's also feuded with everyone. I don't want to see him as NXT champion again. I don't want to see him, this would be his second reign as NXT North American champion. So at some point, I feel like they got to move on.